Let us wait for them. Please take your seat. Do we have a quorum? Oh, yes, we do. Right. Let us continue our meeting. Motion number 60. This subcommittee agrees to deal with the motion number 60 moved by Ms. Albert Chan according to Rule 32A. Those in favor, please raise their hands. Chairman, I claim a division. Yes, good. The bell ring for 1 minute. Chairman, I move that as plastic waste in Hong Kong accounts for a substantial proportion of municipal solid waste, and incineration of plastic will generate a huge amount of dioxins harming people's health. This subcommittee urges the administration before the start of foundation and civil engineering works of Phase 1 of IWMF should formulate suitable measures to prohibit the incineration of plastic and set up suitable measures before starting Phase 1. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, please check your vote. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 10 present, 2 for, 7 against, no abstention. The question is not agreed by majority who voted. I declare the motion negatived. Motion 61. This council agrees to deal with Mr. Albert Chan's motion number 61. Those in favor, please raise their hands. I claim a division. Please read the motion. Mr. Chan. Yes, Chairman, I move the motion that since the administration agrees to the import of huge amount of refuse, the IWMF will incinerate huge volume of refuse. This subcommittee urges the administration to formulate a policy to prohibit the incineration of any imported waste so that a lot of resources will be used to incinerate imported waste and waste public money. Voting begins. Before I close the vote, please check your vote. The voting is closed. The result is displayed. 11 members present, 3 for, 7 against, no abstention. The question is not agreed by the majority of members who voted. I declare the motion negatived. Number 62. This council agrees to deal with Albert Chan's motion number 62 under Rule 32A. Those in favor, please raise their hands. Mr. Gary Fan claims division. I claim a division. That's about ring 1 for a minute. Yes, I move that the IWIF is located in Shekuchao, surrounded by water on all sides. Typhoon, which attack Hong Kong, may cause huge waves and strong winds against the IWMF. The administration is not to provide details for a breakwater and a height of breakwater. The members of the public are concerned about the waves more than 10 meters high when there is a typhoon. During the high-end typhoon, the waves is as high as 14.5 meters were seen. We urge the administration to build breakwater which can withstand waves of 15 meters to make sure that they set a good protection for the facility. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, I display the result. Please check your vote. Voting is closed. Result is displayed. 11 present, 2 for, 7 against, 1 abstention. The question is not agreed by majority who voted. Voting is the motion is negatived. Item 63, this council agrees to deal with motion 63 by Mr. Albert Chan. Those in favour, please raise their hand. Mr. Gary Fan claims the division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Please read out the motion. Mr. Chan.
Mr. Chairman, my motion is, as earlier when Haiyan attacked the Philippines, the wind speed was as high as 300 kilometers per hour, leading to serious damages to structures. And under the effect of the greenhouse effect, the intensity of typhoons will only increase. Therefore, as the IWMF is on Pt2, which is surrounded by the sea, under a typhoon, it might be under direct attack by strong wind. So before the civil engineering and foundation works for this facility, we have to ensure that the facility can withstand strong wind at a speed of 300 kilometers per hour. Voting now begins. Please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Please display results. 10 present, 3 for, 6 against. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of the members who voted. The question is negatived. The next question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 64, moved by Mr. Albert Chan. Mr. Gary Fan, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Mr. Chan, please read out your motion. Mr. Chairman, my motion is that as the IWMF will incinerate garbage at a temperature as high as 850 degrees, and there are very large steam boilers used for power generation. If there is a fire, the results will be very serious. So I request that the administration first study the fire extinguishment facility in Pt2 to protect human lives before starting the civil engineering and foundation works on the facility. Voting begins. Before I declare the results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Voting results to be displayed. 12 present, 3 for, 8 against, no abstention. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of the members who voted. The question is negatived. The next question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 65, moved by Mr. Albert Chan under Procedure 32A. Mr. Gary Fan, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Mr. Chairman, my motion is, as the administration plans to grant a design, build, and operate contract for phase 1 of IWMF, the awardee company, apart from being responsible for design and construction, will also obtain the right of operation. According to the PWSC paper, the recurrent expenditure of the facility will be about $420 million. This committee is of the view that it should be stipulated in the contract that the recurrent expenditure of this IWMF, that is, when it for this $420 million, it should be paid by the government as extra expenditure and should be paid by the company concerned. Voting begins. Please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display results. 11 present, 3 for, 7 against. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of the members who voted. The question is negative. The next question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 66, moved by Mr. Albert Chan. Those in favour, please raise their hands. Mr. Chairman, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Please read out the motion. Mr. Chairman, this motion is similar to the last one. The administration plans to grant a design, build and operate contract for phase 1 of IWMF, and the awardee company will obtain the right of operation for as long as 15 years, including the 6 years for design and construction. The awarding company will have a contract lasting 21 years. This committee requests that reasonable compensation be paid by the company in relation to mistakes leading to damages if the performance of the company is not good during that duration. Voting begins. Before I declare the results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display results. 12 present, 3 for, 8 against, no abstention. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of the members who voted. I declare the question negative. The next question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 67 moved by Mr. Albert Chan. Those in favor, please raise their hands. Mr. Gary Fan, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Please read out the motion. The motion is, as indicated in the PWSC paper, the administration points out that the IWMF can handle 3,000 tons of waste per day. This committee requests the administration to stipulate in the contract that if in future the company cannot handle 3,000 tons of waste per day, a penalty can be imposed to ensure that the awardee company can make good use of public money and construct a facility that can handle 3,000 tons of waste per day. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 12 present, 3 for, 8 against. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of the members who voted. The question is negative. The next question is in relation to motion 68. The question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 68 moved by Mr. Albert Chan under PWSC procedure 32A. Mr. Gary Fan, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Mr. Albert Chan, please read out your motion. Chairman, my motion is, as indicated in the PWSC paper provided by the government, the facility can generate 480 degrees or units of residual electricity. This committee requests that in granting the contract for phase 1 of the facility, it should be stipulated that if after the commissioning of the facility cannot generate 480 million units of residual electricity, the government can punish the awardee company or even change the operator to ensure that the awardee company can make good use of public money and produce 480 million units of residual university from the facility. Voting now begins. Please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 12 present, 2 for, 9 against, no abstention. I was late. Please count me in. Sorry. I've already said that voting had been closed. 12 present, 2 for, 9 against, none abstaining. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of the members who voted. The question is negative. Members, At the beginning of this meeting, I said that as of last night, we have to handle 67 motions. And during the course of this meeting, we received new motions. This morning, I mentioned how I'll handle these motions. I appeal to members to complete the procedure on the expression of opinion in accordance with Procedure 32A. I said that after handling the motions, we have to vote on the proposals in paper PWSC 2014-15-7 to see whether we should go to Finance Committee. But then we received from Mr. Gary Fan 9 more motions and Mr. Albert Chan 9 more motions and another one from Dr. Fernando Chang. So we'll proceed to handle those motions as well. But I believe you all understand that I don't think I should continue to receive further motions because I have accorded sufficient opportunity for you to express your views. Some motions are about tendering, conditions to be included in the future contract, etc. Now, this can go on endlessly. So, if similar subjects are to be included in further motions, we have to consider the situation. So now we'll proceed to handle the remaining motions. The next question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 69 moved by Mr. Gary Fan under PWSC Procedure 32A. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Mr. Gary Fan, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. In accordance with Procedure 32A of PWSC Procedure, I move that as a judicial review is still underway on the EIA related to Shekuchao incinerator, this committee urges the administration to wait for the judgment of the Court of Final Appeal before applying to the Legislative Council for funds to construct the incinerator. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 13 present, 3 for, 9 against, none abstaining. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of the members who voted. The question is negatived. The next question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 70 moved by Mr. Gary Fan under PWSC Procedure 32A. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Mr. Gary Fan, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Mr. Chairman, my motion is, as Changchao is directly affected by the emission from the incinerator and air pollution may result, this committee urges the administration to first study a plan for cash compensation before building the incinerator. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 12 present, 3 for, 8 against, none abstaining. I think the question is not agreed by majority of the members who voted. The question is negatived. The next question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 71, moved by Mr. Gary Fan under procedure 32A. Mr. Gary Fan, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Mr. Chairman, the motion is Changchao will be directly affected by air pollution caused by the emission from the incinerator. This committee urges the administration to first study the electricity to be generated by incinerating wastes and provide free electricity to Changchao residents before building the incinerator. Voting begins before I declare the voting results. Members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 12 present, 3 for, 8 against, none abstaining. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of the members who voted. I declare the question negatived. The next question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 72, moved by Mr. Gary Fan. Mr. Gary Fan, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Mr. Chairman, my motion is, at the moment, there are many residents living in Changsha, Lantau, where the incinerator will be. The incinerator will be built on the northwestern side of the site. This committee urges the administration to first study cash compensation for Changsha residents before building the incinerator. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 15 present, 4 for, 10 against, none abstaining. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of the members who voted. The question is negatived. The next question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 73, moved by Mr. Gary Fan. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Mr. Chairman, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. In accordance with procedure 32A of PWSC, I moved that there are quite many people living in Changsha, Lantau at the moment, while the incinerator will be situated in the northwestern part. This committee urges the administration to first study the electricity generated by waste incineration and free supply of such electricity to Changsha residents before building the incinerator. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 13 present, 4 for, 8 against, none abstaining. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of the members who voted. The question is negatived. The next question is that this committee agrees to handle motion 74, moved by Mr. Gary Fan. Those in favor, please raise their hands. Chairman, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. In accordance with Procedure 32A of the PWSC procedure, I move that as the incinerator will be built on Shek Kwu Chau and is the first major infrastructure facility on Lantau South, the natural scenery of Lantau South will be damaged for the first time. This committee urges the administration to undertake that if the incinerator is to be built, in future there will no longer be any more major infrastructure on Lantau South. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed to display voting results.
14 present, 4 for, 9 against, none abstained. I think the question is not agreed by the majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. Motion 75, this subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Gary Fan's motion 75, moved under Rule 32A of the PWSC procedures. I claim a division. The bell ring for 1 minute. In accordance with Rule 32A, I move that as the various infrastructure projects have experienced delays and cost overruns, the incinerator could also be a white elephant that goes over the budget. The administration is urged to avoid the overlapping of projects to reduce delays and cost overruns before considering whether to apply for funding to build the landfill. Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Result displayed. 14 present, 4 for, 9 against, none abstained. The question is not agreed by a majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. Motion number 76. This subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Gary Fan's motion number 76, moved under Rule 32A of the PWSC procedures. Will those in favour please raise your hands? Mr. Gary Fan, I claim a division. Bell will ring for 1 minute. In accordance with Rule 32A of the PWSC procedures, I move as follows. The most damaging aspect of reclamation is that the sea sand is needed, but Hong Kong is having less and less sea sand. The administration is urged to study the source of sea sand, whether it will damage the environment before it considers whether to build incinerator. Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, remember, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Please display it. 16 present, 5 for, 9 against, none abstained. The question is not agreed by a majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. Motion 77. This committee agrees to handle Mr. Gary Fan's motion number 77, moved under Rule 32A of the PWSC procedures. Mr. Gary Fan claims a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Under Rule 32A of PWSC procedures, I move as follows. The most damaging aspect of recommendation is sea sand is needed, but Hong Kong is having less and less sea sand, and many works use sea sand from the mainland. This is pollution and damaging to the seabeds of other countries. It is so selfish, and it is not just. The administration is urged to ask the contractor to refrain from using mainland sea sand to avoid damaging the living environment of other countries before studying into the proposal of building an incinerator. Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, remember, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 16 present, 5 for, 10 against, none abstained. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. Motion number 78. This subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Albert Chan's motion moved motion number 78 move number 32A of the PWSC procedures. Chairman, I claim a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Mr. Albert Chan, please read out your motion. Chairman, this subcommittee urges the administration to, when approving the DOB contract, apart from selecting experienced companies with rich experience in incinerators, it must also ensure that in the process of operating the incinerator in the past, the company has never been involved in any fatal accidents, to ensure that the company winning the contract for running the IWMF will have rich experience in safe operation of incinerators. Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. Result is displayed. 15 present, 5 for, 9 against, none abstained. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. Motion number 79. This subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Albert Chan's motion. Number 79 moved under Rule 32A of the PWSC procedures. Mr. Gary Fan claims a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Mr. Albert Chan, please read it out. This subcommittee urges the administration that when the contract is approved, the DOB contract is approved, the administration should ensure that the company has not been involved in any corruption-related offences overseas, to ensure that the $18 billion public money can be used properly. Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 17 present, 5 for, 10 against, none abstained. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. Motion number 80. This subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Albert Chan's motion number 80 moved under Rule 32A of the PWSC procedures. Chairman, I claim a division. Ring for 1 minute. Please read it out. This subcommittee urges the administration to, when approving the DOB contract, ensure that the winning company must subcontract the works to local companies to ensure that the local engineering and construction sectors can benefit from the above project. Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, please check your votes. Voting is closed. Result is displayed. 17 present, 5 for, 11 against, none abstained. I think the question is not agreed by the majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. Motion 81. This subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Albert Chan's motion number 81 moved under Rule 32A of PWSC procedures. Chairman, I claim division. Ring for 1 minute. Please read it out, Mr. Albert Chan. Thank you, Chairman. This subcommittee urges the administration to, when approving the DOB contract, ensure that the winning company must transfer the knowledge on building incinerators, designing incinerators, and managing incinerators to local staff to ensure that the relevant project can enhance the skills of the local sectors in running and constructing incinerators. Voting begins. Before I announce the result, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 17 present, 5 for, 11 against, none abstained. I think the question is not agreed by the majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. 82. This subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Albert Chan's motion number 82 moved under Rule 32A of PWSC procedures. Chairman, I claim a division. Ring for 1 minute. Chairman, please read it out. This subcommittee urges the administration to, when granting the DOB contract, specify that after the commissioning of the IWMF, the winning company must employ local employees in managing and operating the IWMF to ensure that this project can bring more job opportunities to Hong Kong. Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 19 present, 5 for, 13 against, none abstained. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. Motion 83. The subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Albert Chan's motion number 83, moved under 32A of the PWSC procedures. Mr. Fan, I claim a division, Chairman. Ring for 1 minute. Chairman, please read it out. I move that as the location of IWMF Phase 1 is surrounded by waters, it may be subject to strong gust of winds. This subcommittee urges the administration to, when granting DOB contract, apart from choosing the company with rich experience in running an incinerator must also ensure that the company has relevant, sufficient experience in handling natural disasters, in particular wind disasters, to ensure that the company, the winning tender, can safely operate the incinerator.
已開始表決。
Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 18 present, 5 for, 12 against, none abstained. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. 84. This subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Albert Chan's motion 84, moved under 32A of the PWSC procedures. Mr. Fan claims a division. Chairman, I claim a division. Ring for 1 minute. Chairman, please read it out. This subcommittee urges the administration to, when approving the DOB contract, specify that the winning company must provide adequate accommodation to site staff to ensure that the relevant engineers and workers can be treated properly.
現在開始表決。
Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 16 present, 5 for, 10 against, none abstained. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. 85. This subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Albert Chan's motion number 85, moved under Rule 32A of the PWSC procedures. Mr. Gary Fan. Chairman, I claim a division. Ring for 1 minute. Chairman, please read it out. This subcommittee urges the administration to, when approving the DOB contract, formulate practicable and feasible measures to ensure that at the strike of typhoons, site staff can be dispersed properly to ensure that engineers and workers' personal safety can be adequately protected. Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 17 present, 5 for, 11 against, none abstained. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of members who have voted. 86. This subcommittee agrees to handle Mr. Albert Chan's motion number 86, moved under Rule 32A of the PWSC procedures. Mr. Fan. I claim a division. Chairman, ring for 1 minute. Yes, please read it out. Chairman, this subcommittee urges the administration to, when approving the DOB contract, select a company which have not been involved in any serious labor disputes to take up the design, building and operation of the IDMF facilities to ensure that the project will not be seriously delayed due to labor disputes.
現在開始表
Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 16 present, 5 for, 10 against, none abstain. I think the question is not agreed by a majority of members who have voted. The motion is negatived. 87.
本委
This subcommittee agrees to deal with the motion moved by Dr. Fernando Cheung under Rule 32A, motion number 87. Those in favor, please raise their hands. Yes, Dr. Cheung claims for division. The bell ring for 1 minute. Please read out the motion. According to Rule 32A of the PWSC, I urge the subcommittee urges the administration to provide a detailed account on how to deal with bottom ash and to ensure that it will not cause environmental pollution before embarking on constructing the incinerator. Mr. Ma Fung Kwok, there is a problem with that. Members, please do not discuss among yourselves without the permission of the chairman. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, please check your vote. The voting is closed. The result is displayed. 16 members present, 5 for, 10 against, no abstention. The question is not agreed by the majority of members who have voted. Item 88. This subcommittee agrees to deal with the motion moved by Dr. Fernando Cheung. The motion number is 88. Those in favor, please raise their hands. Dr. Cheung asks for a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Mr. Cheung, please read out your motion. According to Rule 32A of the PWSC procedure, I urge the administration to allocate $2 billion to promote separation at source, waste reduction, recycling, and before embarking on constructing the incinerator. This is the last motion, right? Okay, voting begins. Before I declare the result, would members check your vote? The voting is closed. The result is displayed. 17 members present, 5 for, 11 against, no abstention. The question is not agreed by majority of members who voted. I declare the motion negatived. All right, we have to vote on agenda item number 1, the development of integrated waste management facilities, phase 1. I now put the recommendation of the paper PWSC 2014-15 number 7 to the vote. Point of order. The first motion moved by Mr. Chen has been passed. The motion moved by Mr. Chen has been passed. The first one has been passed. What has been passed? No, his motion is not passed. That is a motion asked to be voted for, to be voted on. No. I now put the recommendations in paper PWSC 2014-15 number 7 to the vote. Those in favor, please raise their hands. I claim division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. We've already passed the motion to ring the bell for 1 minute, and then the motion will be put to the vote.
The
meeting is now adjourned. The meeting is now adjourned.
暫停會議，等工作人員處理席上呢位作出危險動作嘅公眾人士先。
Please take your seat. We have to complete the voting. The voting has been suspended. Now, after the member of public has been removed, the meeting will be resumed. I said so. And I don't know when, how much time we need to deal with that member of the public. All right, please take your seat. A member has asked for a division. We'll ring the bell for 1 minute. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, would members check your vote? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 21 members present, 14 for, 6 against, no abstention. The question is agreed by majority of the members who have voted I declare the motion passed. We now move on to agenda item number 8, Head 708, Capital Subventions in Major Systems and Equipment. Agenda item number 2, PWSC 2014-15, number 8, upgrading of part of 70 mm. Entitled Redevelopment of Queen Mary Hospital Phase 1 Preparatory Works to Category A at an estimated cost of $1,592.8 million in money of the day prices. And the administration has briefed the Health Services Panel in February. And members generally supported the funding proposal, and the salient points of discussion have been given to members. To attend today's meeting, we have the Undersecretary, Professor Chan, the PAS, Ms. Lee, Chief Technical Consultant, Mr. Leung of the HSD, Dr. Look of the Hospital Authority, and Mr. Lee of the Hospital Authority. A show of hands, please, if you have any questions. Please press the button, rather. Please press button if you have any questions. 6 members have indicated they have questions. They are Wong Kwok Hing, Fernando Cheung, Kenneth Chan, Emily Lau, and Smack, and Ip Kok Kim. 4 minutes, questions and answers together. Mr. Wong Kwok Hing. Chairman, I don't need 4 minutes. I just want to say that I fully support this funding proposal as the elected member of the islands constituency, the Hong Kong Island constituency. I support that, and I urge members to support that. And if we cannot pass this application today, the delay will lead to further escalation costs. That is an urgency to the matter. Dr. Fernando Cheung. With regard to the redevelopment of Queen Mary Hospital in the 2012-13 budget, the proposal was already supported. Now is 2014, and preparatory work will go all the way to 2017. As for the completion of Phase 1, it will be 2023. According to my understanding, redevelopment will take place in 4 phases. Can an explanation be given why it takes such a long time? Redevelopment of a hospital is no small project. But even if we give them money today, the projects can only be completed in 2023. Can they shorten the process? Of course we support it, but we don't want to see that it's so long. Who is answer the question? Professor Chan. Thank you, Dr. Chan, for the question. Let me give you a clarification. We come before the PWSC to seek approval, and that is related to Phase 1. It will be completed in September 2017 as scheduled. As for the year 2023, it is Phase 2. And we have to come back for money again. The $1.5 billion odd dollars, $1.59 billion for the first phase. Several departments of QMH, such a clinical hospital, clinical building, and also doctors' quarters, they will be relocated, and we have to renovate the senior staff quarters to house these services before we can move on with the project. And there are also role realignments. The project, Phase 1, will be completed in September 2017. If we get the support of the PWSC and FC, we will start our work very soon. I don't know whether I've mixed up the things, or it is the rhetoric of the Bureau. What is completed in 2017 is not related to Block K. You are just moving something which is not directly related to the service to be provided to the patients. They are just preparatory work. The upgrading of Block K, the operation theater, the wards, they are in 2013. Can you further clarify this? Yeah, several things like the laboratories will be moved into the senior staff quarters. That's part one or phase one. And then in the second phase, these blocks, existing blocks will be demolished, and then we'll build a 30-odd story building which will have the clinical facilities. When will that 30-odd story building be completed? That's 2023. That's clear. That's why I say it's too slow. That's about 10 years down the road. Do they need that much time? Perhaps Mr. Lee can explain. Please brief. Time is up. Mr. Lee. Now, this is a hospital which is providing service. We need to decant some of the senior staff quarters and then move the services to that area. Dr. Kenneth Chan. Of course, we support the general direction of redeveloping the hospital. And at the panel meeting, I've asked for the early completion of the project. And I have also received the complaints from the residents nearby. They have not been provided with adequate information in order to support the scheme. So I put the ball in the court of the Undersecretary in liaising with the local groups, in liaising with the district councillors of the constituencies. How far have you gone? Moving the facilities to the senior staff quarters is in the present proposal. Will that care for or address the concerns of the housing estates nearby, and what will be the degree of nuisance caused to them? Have you addressed their concerns? It will make us easier if you have addressed their concerns. Otherwise, when they ask for separating this item from the other FC proposals, that may delay the project. So how far have you gone with regard to negotiating with the residents? Professor Chan, concerning our consultation so far, I will speak on that, and then Dr. Look will supplement. On the district council level, last year, at the end of last year, we went before the CNW District Council and the Southern District Council, and Dr. Look also addressed the views of the District Council, and we got the support of the two District Councils. As for the two blocks near Queen Mary Hospital, in particular in one building, the residents are concerned about the renovation of the senior staff quarters, and the morgue is rather close to the residential building, and they are concerned about families who are bidding farewell to the dead. And the hospital is now looking at various possibilities. If the morgue is to be relocated, there is in fact no place to accommodate the morgue, and it is in fact a sealed-off facility, and there are special vessels for bringing the bodies to the morgue. Dr. Look. we've talked to the residents of the two housing estates. In fact, since last June, we have been contacting them. As said by Dr. Chen, we will make a number of improvements. The residents will not be able to see the march there, and also the farewell ceremonies will all be conducted will all be conducted indoors. There will be nothing done outdoors, and the transportation of the bodies, the vessels will be well managed. People will not see anything in such matters going on, and we'll talk to Mr. Zimmerman and also the residents.
Mr. Chairman, they should be more specific. The residents are not objecting to this project. They just want to know whether that can be moved a bit backwards and just of 2 stories. I hope that they can consider that view. Next, Ms. Emily Lau. Mr. Chairman, the hospital has been in place for over 70 years. All along we've been talking about redevelopment. When foreigners come, they say that our doctors are of world-class standard, but the facilities of Queen Mary Hospital are of very low standard. And Dr. Lou Chongmao recently criticized severely about the facilities. Well, this will take us up to 2023. That's very unreasonable. I hope that the government can proceed with full steam. Professors and officials came out to say that additional costs would be incurred. They're going to the Finance Committee. I would like to know how they do financial control. They should set everybody's mind at ease. We would like them to proceed with full steam, but financially, how are they going to go about it? Perhaps I should defer to Mr. Lee. Mr. Donald Lee. Mr. Chairman, we're now in a tendering exercise. The costs are actual costs. In the contract, price fluctuation is allowed, but we've already got sufficient contingency expenditure to cope with price adjustments in future. We're also well prepared for the equipment and furniture as well as facilities for the university and medical facilities. With so many years of experience in engineering projects, the budgeted cost and the contingency expenditure should be able to meet the financial commitment in the next few years. Well, I don't know what he means by ample. Are you going to have an additional 10% or 20% of contingency expenditure? By ample, does he mean that he has used different methods of calculation? Well, maybe it's a matter of terminology. The methodology is the same as in the past. Well, the word ample is really worthy of our concern. So you've got a very relaxed budget because you're afraid of coming back to LegCo for funding. No, we're not worried of coming back to the LegCo for funding. In the next few years, commodity prices and the CPI may rise. Therefore, objectively, we assessed the future fluctuations and have put this into our budget to meet future upward adjustments in commodity prices. So you're confident that you don't need to come back to LegCo for supplementary funding. We're very confident. Ms. Alice Mack, I have 2 questions, Mr. Chan. My colleague, Mr. Kwok Wai Keung, mentioned that at the moment there's only one access road to Queen Mary Hospital. According to enclosure 1 of the paper, another road will be built. Will that be able to address the existing problem? That is, one single access. The paper mentions 3 buildings which are historical buildings and structures. It said that you would prudently proceed with the project in order not to adversely affect those buildings and structures. So can you elaborate on this prudence? Professor Chan, may I defer to Mr. Lee for those two questions? Mr. Chairman, concerning access, we've already conducted a TIA. There'll be another ingress and egress to cope with the future needs of the hospital. As regards this prudent arrangement, in order not to avoid the historical buildings, before work start, steps will be taken by the contractors and reports will be compiled by the contractor for submission to the AMO to make sure that the monuments are not affected. Well, of course, this is not as important as the ancient well. However, during the course of the project, historical buildings and structures may be affected. For the pump house in Central, we experience the same problem. Therefore, in the course of the works, will anything related to the structures and buildings of historical value affect the progress of the project? Because we don't want to see any delay. I hope that the government can do this work well in order to avoid delay to the project. Well, this is different from the ancient well because the ancient well is situated inside the construction site. But then these heritage structures are only found in the vicinity of the site. Ms. Alice Mack, no more question? Then Mr. Ibrahim. Mr. Chairman, some colleagues criticize our officials for resorting to sophistry. As for the whole project, as a Central and Western District Councillor, I can say that on many occasions and very frequently, Mr. Donald Lee came to report to us. QMH has been in place for over 70 years. Some buildings are over 40 years old. The facilities of QMH are really too old. So we really want to proceed as quickly as possible. If we are to drag this on further, the redevelopment of QMH will be delayed. For the Hong Kong Island and residents of the Western District, that would be very unfair. The QMH is subject to a number of constraints. So throughout the project, we went through a number of hurdles. We discussed different options. They've tried very hard to identify an option that will preserve the heritage as well as improve the hospital. That's why the discussion has been dragged on for so long. I'm sure this project won't be completed. The project will surely be completed before 2023. We don't want to see engineering problems and so forth. The DAB will fully support this project. I would appeal to members that they should not hinder this project. Otherwise, we'll have to wait till 2023. This is a main central hospital. So this project is very important. I have a simple question. Dr. Look, can you explain to us in an ample manner that you are very confident in terms of financial considerations, engineering, technology, as well as planning, such that the project can proceed on schedule? Who will answer? Dr. Look. Dr. C.C. Look. Thank you, Chairman. We'll try our very best. As Mr. Lee said just now, For the whole project, planning will be done in a very stringent manner. As for communicating with the district council concerned, we'll do a great deal more work. We did a lot in the past. In future, with the consent of the DC chairman, we'll meet them again. We actually met the district councillors very frequently. The hospital is for public use, so in terms of design, we would like to obtain public views such that the hospital will be popular among the public. I would like to extend the ending time of the meeting to 1 p.m. Mr. Albert Chan. Mr. Chairman, for hospital facilities and upgrading and improving of the hospital buildings, we all support the proposals. But in the past, under the hospital authority, resources were not distributed evenly. Some empires, so to speak, got more, while others got very little from the hospital authority. So resource distribution, hospital manpower, etc., were not evenly distributed. The New Territories West residents complained a lot. Tuen Mun Hospital got very little. Now it's decided that Tin Shui Wai Hospital would be built. The Tung Chung Hospital is underway. But what about the problems of Tuen Mun Hospital? We received severe criticisms. Do you have a specific timetable? Among all the hospital authority clusters, Hong Kong Island got the most resources. Yes, Queen Mary Hospital has its historic value. Of course, you provide sufficient resources for the good ones, but what about hospitals like Tuen Mun Hospital? When will they get sufficient resources? 4 minutes more. Professor Chan. Thank you, Mr. Chan. Perhaps I should say that the Food and Health Bureau and the Hospital Authority have kept in close liaison. The HA reports to us information about clusters like waiting time, project delay, and so forth. For NT West, we understand that there is this problem of long waiting time, so they need more operation theaters. Therefore, we have plans for one more operation theater. As for other clusters, a review of the whole hospital authority is underway. We'll look at the differences among clusters, refer to views and questions from councillors and members of the public. We have a committee looking into that. Mr. Chairman, after this meeting, can I have a table from them? That is, after QMH is completed, when all the facilities are upgraded, how will it compare with Tuen Mun Hospital and other hospitals in other clusters? For NT West, particularly Tuen Mun Hospital, plus Pok Hoi Hospital and Tin Shui Wai Hospital, overall speaking, what are the differences among different clusters? Nobody would object to the upgrading of Queen Mary Hospital, but after upgrading, the QMH cluster may be of a much higher standard than that for Tuen Mun Hospital cluster. So people may be dissatisfied. Can you give us some information? After the upgrading, how do clusters compare among themselves? Service quality, manpower level, etc., etc. By how much QMH cluster is better than the Tuen Mun Hospital cluster? I'd like to respond. Mr. Chairman, for services and facilities for various clusters, there are a number of considerations. the local population size, the demands of the residents and so forth. So there may be different facilities in different clusters. The hospital authority will look into these in detail. I hope councillors can understand that it is very difficult to draw a direct comparison. For QMH. Oh, you mean QMH is serving human beings while Tuen Mun Hospital is not serving humans? Oh, no, that's not what I meant. But for other clusters, including NT West, the HA has all along been allocating resources to them such that they can serve the residents. Well, before the FC meeting, can we have a paper, Chairman? Well, we're behind schedule. Please provide us with information after the meeting. Thank you. Mr. James Tan. Mr. Chairman, I understand that Hong Kong has 5 major regions, and respective councillors will be concerned about the developments in their respective region. For QMH, because of Hong Kong U, and for Prince of Wales Hospital, they have the medical school of the Chinese University. Therefore, their facilities may be more modern and more perfect. I have to declare interest. I'm from NT East, but I've never been in a hospital in NT East as a patient. Rather, I patronized QMH a number of times. As for backward facilities, QMH is 70-odd years behind because the buildings are old, but then the equipment is rather modern. Donations were made to QMH for the procurement of equipment. Doctors have been complaining that certain equipment could be procured while other equipment could not be procured. Mr. Chairman, I'm in the business of land development. I'm in real estate development. Recently, there had been a lot of delays because of manpower shortage. As for the courses explained by Mr. Lee, and given what Mr. Ip Kok Him said about district councillors, we understand the slippage. Well, now the contractors already placed a bid in the tendering exercise, has got a contract, so you're confident with this budget. But the CE wants to build a lot of PRH estates. As a result, other projects may be delayed. So in the next few years, you want to expand QMH. Many councillors have asked whether you've got sufficient money for that. Mr. Lee is very confident that they will not overspend. He's confident that there won't be slippage. Well, Mr. Chairman, you're also an engineer. Given the manpower supply in the construction industry in recent times, I would like to ask them to elaborate on their undertaking. Who will answer this? Mr. Donald Lee. Mr. Chairman, concerning manpower, proportionately, this project is rather small, $1.6 billion. Manpower supply is a problem in the construction industry at the moment. In the tendering documents, the scope of the project, the responsibilities of the contractor had already been mapped out. Well, engineering personnel may be difficult to find, but then the contractor has to shoulder the risk, so we'll be able to grasp the prices well. A follow-up question. Well, Mr. Chairman, the design has been finalized. Is that correct? But variations on the part of the landlord, say relocation of the toilets, etc., etc., are all these settled such that the contractor is confident that he can follow the specifics in the tendering documents? Well, Mr. Chairman, we've completed all those. They follow the detailed design in the tendering documents when they bid for the contract. Variations will be very few in number. Next, Mr. Michael Tan. Mr. Chairman, for resources for medical services, there are two categories: manpower and resources, material resources. For material resources, there are voices from various districts. We now have Tuen Mun Hospital and Tin Shui Wai Hospital. They are now upgrading their hardware. I agree that many facilities of QMH are old and backward, so we should invest in hardware. So, for hardware resources, we should consider even distribution among the clusters. But for Hong Kong, the biggest problem is the software. Manpower shortage in terms of doctors and other medical personnel. In Tuen Mun Hospital, the doctors always told me that they overworked. They work 70 to 80 hours a week. They don't want to go to Tuen Mun Hospital. That's their last choice.
Mom.
And then I also heard about many problems. For example, it is not appropriate to give them overtime pay, and that is against the rule of fairness. My question is very simple. You're going to invest so much to upgrade Queen Mary Hospital to make it look good. What about manpower? Have you increased resources to increase the manpower? Professor Chen. On manpower, I think you are right. We do have a shortage of doctors and healthcare staff, and we have implemented measures to cope with this problem. In 2012, starting from 2012, we have increased 50 additional places for each medical college, so that altogether we have 100 extra places. And of course, you need to wait for them to graduate. And when also working with the Hong Kong Medical Council to consider how we can expedite the progress of allowing more overseas doctors to come back. And then the licentiate exams have also been increased from once a year to twice a year, and the whole process is also expedited. My question is not about the overall shortage of healthcare manpower in Hong Kong. My question is not about your measures to cope with that. My question is distribution. After the redevelopment of Queen Mary Hospital, existing healthcare staff can work in a better environment, can work more efficiently, or are you going to increase the number of staff? The problem is there is a shortage in New Territories West cluster. So are you going to make a bigger pie or give a greater share? If this project allows QMH staff to work in a better environment, then I have no problem. But if that means that a larger proportion will be allocated to QMH instead, then MT West will always have a shortage. Now, every year, with the graduation of new nurses and doctors across the clusters, resources will be distributed according to their needs. As for NT West, the same principle applies. If there is a severe shortage in NT West, then based on their needs, resources will be given to NT West. Coming back to QMH, it won't be completed until 2023. I mean the 30-story main building. So on behalf of NT West residents, I thank you. Remember what you've said today. I see we've finished the first round. For the second round, we have Mr. Albert Chen and Dr. Fernando Jiang. Who else would like to ask in the second round? Because we have extended the meeting to 1 o'clock, and we need to put a vote on this matter. Mr. Albert Chen. Now, I won't thank you at this stage like Mr. Michael Tin. Now, just like the wealth gap that we see in our society for HA clusters on distribution of resources, there are also gaps, or in terms of the quality of resources distributed to different clusters, there is a gap. On the distribution of resources, manpower arrangements, there are apparent differences. I've been talking to experienced doctors in Tuen Mun recently, and in terms of the development of Tuen Mun Hospital and the prospect, they have expressed grave concerns. And they can't see how, in terms of the quality of Tuen Mun Hospital, in particular in terms of manpower, how it can be enhanced. So the fatality rate in Tuen Mun Hospital is at present the highest among hospitals. So it's really worrying. And when we see that QMH will be upgraded, it's even more worrying because the good ones get better, and there is no light for Tuen Mun Hospital.
個服務嘅影響，即係究竟嘅嚴重程度。
So I want to know what will be the impact on the service provided by Tuen Mun Hospital and on QMH. Now, the construction price will be a major factor, just like the XRL incident. Now, site investigation and groundworks are very important. Have you gone through all these, or will you in the future say that the tender price will be affected because you haven't finished the site investigation? Perhaps I will defer to Mr. Lee. Time is up, so please be brief. On foundation works, now we're talking about relocation works. We're going to relocate part of the services to the quarters, so there should not be a problem. But it's over $1 billion. Part of it is for the works. Next, Dr. Fernando Zhang. In the budget, Mr. John Zhang has said that $55 billion will be spent to redevelop hospitals, including QMH. Of course, we support that. And as members have said, the timing or the period may be too long. Now, the other problem is about distribution of resources, and some members have followed up on this issue. Just like Tuen Mun Hospital, it's not been redeveloped for 20 years, and in fact, its capacity has been reached. And there are also. Now, what about these hospitals? Any redevelopment or expansion plans for these hospitals? What are the considerations for redevelopment or expansion of existing hospitals? Is it based on geographical needs? In fact, for HA, we have a blueprint for all hospitals in Hong Kong based on the population growth and service needs. In different areas, we put forward proposals for redevelopment and expansion, and a report had been made last year to the electrical panel. That was about maintenance or repair. We're talking about major redevelopment. Now, for the 13 billion redevelopment or repair program, there was one, and then on the other occasion, on how we are to develop or expand existing hospitals, we also did report to members. Well, Dr. Fernando Zhang, I suggest that you follow it up at the relevant panel. Please give us a timetable if you have one. Yes, we can supplement the information afterwards. Please follow up on the relevant issues at the panels. Mr. Michael Tian, 2 minutes. And the Secretary, I want to clarify. Are you saying that the HA is reviewing the allocation of manpower in the future? Does it mean that in the future, manpower will follow the patient, so to speak, instead of following the hardware development? Is that what you say? are you going to look at the overall patient's need, or are you going to say that QMH needs more doctors after redevelopment? Now, it's about the mode of resource allocation, actually. So is it following the patient, following the service need, following the population trend, or what? Because if you also consider investment in a particular hospital, then that would be problematic. Even with additional doctors in the future, they will be deployed to the Hong Kong Island. And what about NT West cluster? HA adopts a mixed model of resource allocation. We look at distribution of population and other factors, and there are also other views. And that is why the review committee, well, for the Tuen Mun Hospital, there was a shortage of healthcare staff because it was voluntary and staff didn't want to go so far. And will your review ensure that additional incentives would be given to attract them to come, or will they rather be working on rosters? We don't have a conclusion yet, but this is a topic under review. I hope that after the review, we would come up with a plan to ensure that there will be proper proper allocation of manpower resources across clusters. Third round, Mr. Albert Chan, 1 minute, please. To put it simply, there will be a redevelopment of a staff quarters over 20 stories. Does it mean that no site foundation works will be involved? Slope works and foundation works, nothing will change for QMH. Is that the case? For provisioning, mostly the alteration works will be involved, save and except a small part of the car park which involves foundation works. Because foundation works will be more prone to any compensation claims, and I'm very concerned that foundation works would be the cause of adjusting construction prices in the future. All right, your view is clear. No other comments from members. So if there are no questions from members, I suggest that we put this to a vote. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Let's count. The bell will ring for 5 minutes. This is the second item, not the first one.
好，現在開始。
Voting begins. Before I announce the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. Result is displayed. 19 present, 18 for, none against, none abstained. The question is agreed. The item is approved. You ask for separate voting. Now I have this question that is for the various proposals in this meeting. Well, they're expected to be submitted to the FC on the 27th of June for items discussed today, and also for the NENT Landfill Extension Program approved on the 21st of May. Members, do we need to take out any items at the FC for separate voting? Yes, the landfill and incinerator proposal. Thank you, Chairman. As for QMH, I'll decide after reading the paper. You have to decide now. No, Chairman, we can decide afterwards. Please read the relevant procedures. We don't want to get in the way of the QMH redevelopment. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.